Captain Zara Novak stood at the viewport of the Earth Defense Force headquarters, her emerald eyes scanning the bustling spaceport below. Sleek ships from a dozen alien worlds darted between the towering skyscrapers of New Terra City, a testament to humanity's place in the galactic community. Yet, Lara couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Her comm unit chimed, startling her from her reverie. "Captain Novak, report to Admiral Zao's office immediately," a terse voice ordered. As Lara made her way through the labyrinthine corridors of the EDF complex, her mind raced. It had been years since she'd been called for anything more exciting than a routine patrol. Ever since the Confluence War ended 2 decades ago, humanity had been slowly but surely pushed to the margins of galactic politics. Admiral Zao's office was spartanly furnished, its walls adorned with holograms of famous space battles. The Admiral himself, a grizzled veteran with cybernetic implants visibly lining his left temple, stood with his back to the door, gazing out at the cityscape. "Captain Novak," he said without turning, "what I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest level. Our deep cover agents have uncovered evidence of a plot within the Galactic Council. They plan to neutralize Earth." Lara's blood ran cold. "Neutralize, you mean?" "An attack, yes," Zao confirmed, finally facing her. "They view us as a potential threat, a sleeping giant that needs to be put down before it can wake up." "But that's insane," Lara protested. "We've been model citizens of the galaxy for 2 decades. We've followed every treaty, every regulation." Zao's cybernetic eye glowed faintly as he fixed her with a steely gaze. "They remember what we're capable of, Captain, and they fear it. The Council races have grown complacent, arrogant in their supposed superiority. They've forgotten why humans were once the most feared force in the galaxy." Lara's mind reeled. The Confluence War had nearly torn the galaxy apart. Humanity, then new to the galactic stage, had played a crucial role in ending the conflict. Their unconventional tactics and sheer determination had turned the tide against the void-born armada. But now it seemed those very qualities made them a target. "Why tell me this, sir?" Lara asked. "I'm just a patrol captain. I don't even have my own ship anymore." A grim smile played across Zao's scarred face. "Because, Captain, you're the best we've got. Your war record speaks for itself. I need you to lead a covert mission to gather concrete evidence of this plot, and if possible, stop it before it's too late." Lara's heart raced at the prospect. This was what she'd been training for her entire career, but the stakes had never been higher. "What resources will I have, sir?" Zao activated a holographic display showing a sleek, predatory-looking vessel. "This is the Shadowblade. She's a prototype stealth ship, equipped with the latest in cloaking and electronic warfare technology. As for your crew," he brought up a series of profiles. "I've assembled a team of, let's call them specialized individuals. Each one has a unique skill set that could prove invaluable." Lyra scrolled through the dossiers, her eyebrows rising with each new face. "Sir, half of these people are criminals or outcasts." "Desperate times, Captain," Zao said grimly. "They're the best at what they do, and right now, we need the best." Lyra took a deep breath, weighing the enormity of what was being asked of her. If she failed, Earth would be defenseless. If she succeeded, well, she might just start a war. "When do we leave?" Zao's smile was wolfish. "Immediately. Your crew is already assembling at the old lunar shipyards. The Shadowblade is being prepped as we speak." As Lara turned to leave, Zao called out, "Captain, the fate of humanity rests on your shoulders. Don't let us down." The journey to the lunar shipyards was tense, filled with encrypted transmissions and furtive glances. As Lyra's shuttle docked with the ancient facility, she steeled herself for what was to come. The airlock hissed open, revealing a motley assortment of individuals who would be her new crew. There was Zix, a Proximum tech expert with a penchant for hacking and a price on his head in 3 star systems. Beside him stood Kara Voss, a human smuggler with a network of contacts spanning half the galaxy. Leaning against a bulkhead was Groknak, a hulking Taurian warrior whose species was renowned for their strength and combat prowess. "All right, listen up," Lyra called out, her voice echoing in the cavernous docking bay. "I know most of you are here because you've got nowhere else to go. Some of you are running from your past, others from the law. But right now, none of that matters. We've got a job to do, and if we fail, Earth burns. So whatever your reasons for being here, whatever grudges or vendettas you might have, you leave them at the airlock. From this moment on, we're a team. Is that clear?" A chorus of grunts and nods answered her. It wasn't much, but it would have to do. "Good," Lyra said, allowing herself a small smile. "Now, let's see this ship of ours." The Shadow Blade was a marvel of engineering, her sleek lines belying the devastating array of weapons and advanced systems hidden beneath her hull. As Lyra ran her hand along the cool metal, she could feel the potential thrumming beneath her fingers. This old girl had some fight left in her yet. As the crew began to board and prep for launch, Kara sidled up to Lyra. "So, Captain," she drawled, her easy smile not quite reaching her eyes, "care to fill us in on the mission? Or are we flying blind into whatever hellhole you're taking us to?" Lyra fixed her with a steely gaze. "We're heading to Centauri Prime. The Galactic Council is holding an emergency session there in 3 days. Our job is to infiltrate, gather evidence of their plans against Earth, and get out without starting an interstellar incident." Kara whistled low. "Centauri Prime? That's not just the lion's den, Captain. It's the lion's den filled with angry lions, and us covered in barbecue sauce." "That's why I need your contacts," Lyra said. "We need a way in that won't trip every alarm in the system." Kara's smile turned genuine. "Well, now that I might be able to help with, I know a guy who knows a guy." As the last of the crew boarded, Lyra took one final look at the Earth hanging in the void beyond the shipyard. Everything she'd ever known, everyone she'd ever loved, was on that blue marble. And now it all depended on her and this misfit crew. "All right, Shadowblade," she murmured, patting the ship's hull. "Let's show them what we can do." The ancient engines roared to life, and the Shadowblade lifted off, leaving behind the safety of Earth and hurtling towards an uncertain future. As they cleared Luna's orbit, Lyra felt a familiar thrill coursing through her veins. This was what she was born for: the unknown, the impossible odds, the fate of worlds hanging in the balance. The Galactic Council had forgotten the strength of humanity. They'd forgotten why Earth was once feared throughout the stars. But Zara Novak and her crew, they were about to remind them. And God help anyone who stood in their way. As the Shadowblade hurtled through hyperspace, Captain Zara Novak found herself unable to sleep. The weight of their mission pressed down on her, memories of the past mingling with fears for the future. She made her way to the ship's observation deck, hoping the sight of the swirling vortex of hyperspace might calm her nerves. To her surprise, she found Groknak there, the massive Taurian's bulk silhouetted against the viewing port. "Trouble sleeping, Captain?" his rumbling voice asked. Lyra moved to stand beside him. "Just ghosts from the past, Groknak. Nothing to worry about." The Taurian turned to face her, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "I fought alongside humans in the Confluence War, you know. My people remember your kind's ferocity, your unwillingness to yield even in the face of certain defeat. It was inspiring." Lyra's mind drifted back to those dark days. The Confluence War had begun as a territorial dispute between the Proximan Conclave and the Centauri Alliance, but it had quickly spiraled into a galaxy-wide conflict. Humanity, still new to the galactic stage, had been drawn in almost by accident. "We were outgunned, outmatched in almost every way," Lyra murmured, lost in the memories. "But we had something the other races didn't." "And what was that, Captain?" Lyra's eyes hardened. Desperation. "We knew that if we lost, Earth would burn. So we got creative. We innovated. We did things that the other races considered impossible or insane." She remembered the Battle of Proxima Centauri, where a handful of human ships had held off an entire void-born battle fleet by using their own sun as a weapon. The siege of Tau Ceti, where human ground forces had fought for months, vastly outnumbered, using guerrilla tactics that left their enemies in disarray. "We turned our weaknesses into strengths," Lara continued. "Our short lifespans meant we were willing to take risks the longer-lived races wouldn't. Our diverse cultures gave us a flexibility of thought that the more homogeneous species lacked. And our history of conflict on Earth, it made us better warriors than anyone expected." Groknak nodded solemnly. "And now the Council fears that strength might be turned against them." "Exactly. They've grown complacent, forgotten what it's like to face a real threat. So instead of embracing humanity as allies, they want to eliminate us as a potential enemy." The ship's intercom crackled to life, interrupting their conversation. "Captain to the bridge," Zix's voice called out. "We're approaching Centauri Prime." As Lara made her way to the bridge, her resolve hardened. The lessons of the past would serve them well in the challenges to come. The Shadow Blade dropped out of hyperspace on the outskirts of the Centauri system, its advanced stealth systems engaged. Kara's contacts had come through, providing them with forged credentials and a cover story as a minor diplomatic delegation from a frontier world. "All right, people," Lara addressed her crew. "We've got a narrow window here. The Council's emergency session begins in 12 hours. Zix, you and Kara will infiltrate the central data hub. Find any evidence you can of this plot against Earth. Groknak, you're with me. We'll attend the session itself, see what we can learn directly from the Council members." As they approached Centauri Prime, a sprawling ecumenopolis that served as the seat of galactic government, Lara couldn't shake a feeling of unease. Something about this felt wrong. Too easy. Her suspicions were confirmed as they docked at the spaceport. A squad of Centauri security forces was waiting for them, led by a tall, serpentine figure Lara recognized all too well. "Ambassador Aslek," Lara said, keeping her voice level. "This is an unexpected welcome." The Ophidian's forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air. "Captain Novak, did you really think your little incursion would go unnoticed? The Council has been aware of your approach since you left Earth space." Lara's mind raced. They'd been set up. But by whom? And why? "I'm afraid I'll have to ask you and your crew to come with us," Slek continued, his clawed hand resting on the energy weapon at his hip. "The Council is most interested in hearing what you have to say." Lara exchanged quick glances with her team. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and their cover was blown. But they were also humanity's last hope. "Of course, Ambassador," Lara said smoothly. "We'd be happy to explain our presence to the Council." As they were led away, Lara's mind worked furiously. They'd been outmaneuvered, but the game wasn't over yet. If they could just get to the Council chambers, maybe they could still expose the truth. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was a marvel of alien architecture, its soaring ceilings and crystalline walls designed to inspire awe in visitors from 1,000 worlds. But as Lyra and her crew were marched in, surrounded by guards, she felt only a cold determination. The council members sat in a great circle, representatives from the most powerful species in the galaxy. Their faces ranged from curiosity to outright hostility as they regarded the human interlopers. Captain Zara Novak, the Proximan Councillor's voice boomed out. "You stand accused of espionage against the Galactic Council. How do you plead?" Lyra stepped forward, her chin held high. "Not guilty, Councillor. We came here seeking the truth, nothing more." "The truth," the Centauri representative scoffed. "You came here to steal classified information, to undermine the very foundations of galactic peace." "Peace?" Lyra's voice rang out, clear and defiant. "Is that what you call plotting the destruction of an entire species? We know about your plans for Earth. We know you intend to neutralize us before we can become a threat." A murmur ran through the assembled council members. Some looked shocked, others guilty, and a few looked triumphant. It was then that Lyra realized the terrible truth. This wasn't just about fear of humanity's potential. This was about power, about certain factions within the Council using Earth as a scapegoat to consolidate their own positions. As accusations and denials flew back and forth, Lyra caught movement out of the corner of her eye. Zix had managed to slip away in the chaos, likely heading for the data hub, if she could just buy them enough time. You speak of peace, Lyra continued, her voice rising above the din, but you forget the price of that peace. You forget that it was humanity, along with our allies, who ended the Confluence War. You forget that it was our blood, our sacrifices, that brought stability to the galaxy. She turned, addressing not just the Council, but the video feeds that were broadcasting this impromptu trial across the stars. We came here seeking answers, yes, but not to undermine peace. We came because we believe in the ideals this council was founded on: cooperation, mutual respect, the belief that all sentient species have a right to exist and thrive. Her words seemed to have an effect. Some of the more moderate council members were nodding, while others looked uncomfortable. But before Lyra could press her advantage, alarms began to blare throughout the chamber. On the massive screens that lined the walls, tactical displays sprang to life, showing a massive fleet dropping out of hyperspace on the edge of the Centauri system. What is the meaning of this? The Arcturian counselor demanded. Lyra's blood ran cold as she recognized the ships. They were Earth vessels, but not the modest defenders she was familiar with. These were warships, ancient and terrible, awakened from some hidden slumber. And leading them was a ship Lyra had thought lost to legend, the EFS Prometheus, humanity's greatest dreadnought, presumed destroyed in the final battle of the Confluence War. As the council chamber erupted into panic, Lyra realized that the game had changed. Earth wasn't defenseless after all, and now the galaxy was about to be reminded why humanity had once been the most feared force among the stars. The question was, could Lyra prevent this misunderstanding from sparking a war that would consume the galaxy once again? Or had they already passed the point of no return? The council chambers descended into chaos as the massive human fleet loomed on the tactical displays. Lyra's mind raced, trying to make sense of this unexpected development. How had Earth managed to hide such a formidable force? And more importantly, who had given the order to mobilize? "This is an act of war," the Centauri representative shrieked, his crystalline form vibrating with agitation. "The humans have deceived us all." Lyra stepped forward, her voice cutting through the pandemonium. "No, this is a misunderstanding. Let me contact the fleet. I can prevent this from escalating." The Proximan counselor fixed her with a piercing gaze. "You claim no knowledge of this Armada, Captain Novak." "None," Lyra replied firmly. "But I know my people. We don't want war. Let me prove it to you." After a tense moment, the counselor nodded. "Very well. You have one chance to avert catastrophe." As Lyra was led to a communication terminal, her crew exchanged worried glances. This wasn't part of the plan, and they were running out of time. The screen flickered to life, revealing the bridge of the EFS Prometheus. Lyra's jaw dropped as she recognized the figure in the command chair. "Admiral Zhao," she gasped, struggling to keep her voice steady. "What's going on? Why have you brought the fleet here?" Zhao's face was grim. "We received intelligence that the Council was planning an imminent attack on Earth. We had no choice but to activate the Lazarus Protocol." Lyra's mind reeled. The Lazarus Protocol, a last resort defensive measure hidden away after the Confluence War. A fleet of advanced ships, crewed by AI and kept in stasis, ready to be awakened in humanity's darkest hour. "Admiral, please," Lyra pleaded, aware of the council members listening intently behind her. "There's been a misunderstanding. The situation here is complicated, but if you attack now, you'll be starting a war we can't win." Zhao's eyes narrowed. "And if we do nothing, we risk losing everything. You have 10 minutes to provide proof that the threat against Earth has been neutralized, Captain. Otherwise, we will have no choice but to launch a preemptive strike. The communication cut off, leaving Lyra standing in stunned silence. 10 minutes to prevent an interstellar war. She turned to the Council, her mind working furiously. You see now that Earth is not defenseless, but I meant what I said. We don't want war. What we want is the truth. Who orchestrated this plot against my people and why? The Council members shifted uncomfortably, eyeing each other with suspicion. It was clear that not all of them had been aware of the full scope of the plan against Earth. Suddenly, Zix burst into the chamber, clutching a data crystal. Captain, I've got it. Proof of the conspiracy. As Zix plugged the crystal into a nearby terminal, the chamber screens came to life. Documents, communications, and secret meeting recordings began to play, laying bare a web of deceit that reached to the highest levels of the Council. It became clear that a faction within the Council, led by the Centauri and Ophidian representatives, had engineered the crisis. They had manipulated intelligence, exaggerated threats, all in an effort to justify military action against Earth. Their goal wasn't just to neutralize humanity, but to use the conflict as a means to reshape the balance of power within the galaxy. As the evidence mounted, the Council chamber grew deathly quiet. The accused members stuttered denials, but the proof was irrefutable. This changes nothing, the Centauri representative hissed. The human fleet is still a clear and present danger. We must strike now, before. His words were cut off as Grotnak's massive fist connected with his crystalline form, shattering it into 1,000 glittering pieces. I had enough of your lies, the Taurian growled. Lyra whirled to face the remaining Council members, her eyes blazing. You've seen the truth now. Earth is not your enemy. We never were. But we will defend ourselves if we must. She turned back to the communication terminal, reopening the channel to the Prometheus. Admiral Zhao, stand down the fleet. The threat has been neutralized. Zhao's face appeared on the screen, skepticism evident in his expression. Explain, Captain. We've exposed a conspiracy within the Council. The threat against Earth was real, but it wasn't sanctioned by the majority. We have the proof, and the conspirators have been dealt with. Zhao's eyes narrowed as he studied Lyra's face, searching for any sign of deception. Finally, he nodded. Very well, Captain, but we'll remain on high alert. At the first sign of trouble. Understood, Admiral. Thank you. As the connection closed, Lyra turned back to the Council. The chamber was still in disarray, with security forces restraining the exposed conspirators and other members engaged in heated arguments. The Proximan Councillor approached Lyra, his expression a mix of respect and wariness. It seems we owe you and your people an apology, Captain Novak. Your actions today have prevented a catastrophe. Lyra nodded, her expression grave. This can never happen again. Earth won't stand idly by while others plot our destruction. We want peace, but we're prepared for war if it comes to that. What would you have us do? The Councillor asked. Lyra's mind raced, considering the possibilities. This was a chance to reshape the political landscape of the galaxy, to ensure that humanity would never again be marginalized or threatened. First, she said, her voice carrying across the chamber, silencing the ongoing debates, we need a full investigation into this conspiracy. Every member of the Council must be vetted, and those involved must face justice. She paused, looking around the room, meeting the eyes of each Council member in turn. Second, Earth demands a seat on the Council. We've proven our worth time and again, and it's time we had a voice in shaping galactic policy. Murmurs of agreement and dissent rippled through the chamber, but Lyra pressed on. Finally, we propose the formation of a new galactic defense force, one that draws from all member species. No single race should have the power to threaten the peace we've all fought so hard to achieve. The Proximan Councillor, acting as a spokesperson for the gathered delegates, stepped forward. We propose the formation of a new galactic alliance, he announced. one that includes humanity as full and equal partners, with the goal of exploring the flux and unlocking its potential for the benefit of all sentient life. Cheers and applause echoed through the chamber of confluence. As Lyra looked around at the faces of 100 different species, she saw the dawn of a new era reflected in their eyes. The precursors nodded in approval. "You have taken the first step on a long journey," they said. "We will guide you, but the path you forge will be your own. Use this knowledge wisely, and may the flux light your way to a brighter future." As the delegates began to disperse, making plans for the monumental task ahead, Lyra turned to her crew. "Well," she said with a smile, "I guess we're not out of a job just yet." Kara laughed, throwing an arm around Lyra's shoulders. "Are you kidding? We've just signed up for the biggest adventure in galactic history. I can't wait to see what's next." As they made their way back to the Shadowblade, Lyra felt a profound sense of pride in her crew, in humanity, and in the promise of the future they were about to build. The galaxy had forgotten their power, but in rediscovering it, they had found something even greater: a shared destiny among the stars. The weeks following the revelation at the galactic core were a whirlwind of activity. As news of the precursors and the true nature of the flux spread across known space, societies everywhere grappled with the implications. The old power structures were crumbling, and a new order was taking shape. Captain Zara Novak found herself at the center of it all, shuttling between worlds as an impromptu ambassador for both humanity and the newly formed Galactic Alliance. The Shadowblade, once a covert vessel, now flew openly as a symbol of the changing times. On this particular day, Lyra stood before the newly constituted Galactic Senate on Centauroid Prime. Representatives from hundreds of worlds filled the vast chamber, their faces a kaleidoscope of alien features, all united by a common purpose. "Senators, delegates, friends," Lyra began, her voice carrying easily through the advanced acoustics. "We stand at the dawn of a new age. The knowledge given to us by the precursors offers unimaginable possibilities, but it also comes with great responsibility." She paused, letting her gaze sweep across the chamber. "Our first task must be to establish ethical guidelines for flux research and application. We've seen the devastation that can result from misuse of this power. We must ensure that as we push the boundaries of science, we do not lose sight of our moral compass." The Arcturian representative, his crystalline form shimmering with internal light, spoke up. "And who will enforce these guidelines, Captain Novak? Your hidden fleet of warships." Lyra had expected this. The Arcturians, once among the most vocal opponents of Earth's inclusion in galactic affairs, were struggling to adapt to the new balance of power. "No, Senator," Lyra replied calmly. "The fleet, which has now been fully integrated into the Galactic Alliance's defense force, will serve as protectors, not enforcers. The guidelines I propose will be developed and ratified by this Senate, with input from scientific and ethical committees representing all member species." Zix, who had been appointed as the lead scientist for the Alliance's Flux research program, added his thoughts. "We're not just talking about weapons or faster ships here. The Flux offers possibilities we can barely imagine: clean energy, terraforming capabilities, maybe even the ability to heal damaged ecosystems. But each advancement needs to be carefully considered for its long-term impact." The debate raged for hours, with passionate arguments on all sides. Lyra found herself constantly amazed by the diversity of perspectives. The hive-mind consciousness of the collective saw the flux as a potential path to galaxy-wide unity of thought. The nomadic Zephyrians were excited about the possibility of creating stable wormholes for their massive generation ships. Through it all, Lyra and her crew worked tirelessly to build consensus. Kara's natural charm and ability to read the room proved invaluable in smoothing over tense moments. Groknak's steady presence reminded everyone of the hard-won peace they were striving to protect. As the session neared its end, a young Ophidian senator slithered forward. "Captain Novak, while I appreciate the need for caution, aren't we at risk of moving too slowly?" The precursors chose this moment to reveal themselves for a reason. Shouldn't we be pushing harder to unlock the secrets of the flux? The Proximan counselor nodded slowly. These are bold proposals, Captain. They will require much discussion and negotiation. Then let's begin now, Lyra said firmly. The galaxy is watching. Let's show them that we can move past fear and mistrust, that we can build a future together. As the council members began to debate the proposals, Laura felt a weight lift from her shoulders. They had averted war, exposed a conspiracy, and opened the door to a new era of cooperation. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was a start. She turned to her crew, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Well done, all of you. I think we've earned ourselves a drink. Kara grinned, pulling a flask from somewhere in her jacket. Way ahead of you, Captain. As they shared a toast to their unlikely victory, Laura couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, but they had emerged stronger, more united than ever. The galaxy had forgotten their power, their resilience, their determination to forge their own destiny. But they wouldn't forget again. Not for a long, long time. You've all heard about the recent events at the Galactic Council. You've seen the evidence of conspiracy, the revelation of Earth's hidden fleet. I'm here to tell you the truth, all of it, and to offer a path forward. Over the next hour, Lara laid out everything: the plot against Earth, the reasons behind the Lazarus Protocol, and the fragile peace that now hung in the balance. She spoke of humanity's hopes for the future, their desire for true partnership with the other races of the galaxy. We stand at a crossroads, she concluded. We can give in to fear and suspicion, falling back into the cycle of violence that nearly destroyed us all during the Confluence War, or we can choose a different path. We can choose to work together, to build a galaxy where no species needs to fear extinction at the hands of another. The choice is ours, all of ours. As the broadcast ended, Lara slumped into a chair, emotionally drained. Now we wait, she said softly. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Messages flooded in from across the galaxy, some supportive, others hostile, but all of them engaged. The galactic community was talking, debating, arguing about the future they wanted to build. Days passed in a blur of negotiations, debates, and tense standoffs. The Arcturian fleet continued its ominous maneuvers, but other powers began to speak out against military action. The Taurians, swayed by Grotnak's impassioned appeals, declared their support for Earth's position. Kara's network of contacts helped spread the truth to worlds beyond the reach of official channels. Then, a week after Lyra's broadcast, a new player entered the game. A massive ship, unlike anything seen before, appeared at the edge of the Centauri system. It was the Nexus, the legendary mobile habitat of the enigmatic precursors, a race so ancient and advanced that they were thought to be merely a myth by most of the galaxy. A message was broadcast across all frequencies. We have watched and waited long enough. The children of the galaxy stand at the precipice of a new era. We will meet with representatives of all species at the galactic core. The time has come for truths long hidden to be revealed. As the Shadow Blade raced towards the rendezvous point at the heart of the galaxy, Lara couldn't shake the feeling that everything they'd experienced so far had been merely a prelude. The true test of humanity's place in the cosmos was yet to come. The galactic core loomed before them, a swirling maelstrom of stars and cosmic energies. And at its center, shining like a beacon of impossible technology, waited the Nexus. As Lyra prepared to board the shuttle that would take them to the precursor ship, she turned to her crew. Whatever happens next, she said, her voice thick with emotion, I want you to know that it's been an honor serving with you. You've shown the best of what humanity can be. Kara grinned, tapping Lyra on the shoulder. Safer speeches for the precursors, Captain. We've got a galaxy to save. As their shuttle approached the Nexus, Lyra steeled herself for whatever revelations awaited them. Humanity had been forgotten, underestimated, and nearly destroyed. But they had survived, adapted, and shown their strength. Now it was time to claim their place among the stars. The future of the galaxy hung in the balance, And Zara Novak was determined to ensure that humanity's voice would be heard. As the shuttle carrying Captain Zara Novak and her crew approached the Nexus, the sheer scale of the precursor vessel became apparent. It dwarfed even the largest ships in the combined fleets gathered at the galactic core, its surface a mesmerizing array of shifting geometric patterns that seemed to defy the laws of physics. "By the stars," Zix whispered, his tentacles curling in awe. "I've never seen technology like this. It's beautiful." A shimmering energy field enveloped their shuttle, guiding it gently into a cavernous docking bay. As they disembarked, Lara was struck by the absolute silence that permeated the air. No hum of engines, no buzz of electronics, just an eerie, expectant quiet. They were met by a being of pure energy, its form shifting and swirling like a living constellation. When it spoke, the words seemed to form directly in their minds. "Welcome, children of the younger races. I am Aeon, custodian of the Nexus. The collective awaits you in the Chamber of Confluence." As they followed Aeon through corridors that seemed to bend and twist in impossible ways, Lara noticed other delegations joining them. She recognized the crystalline forms of the Centauri, the serpentine grace of the Ophidians, and dozens of other species she'd only read about in xenobiology texts. The Chamber of Confluence was a vast spherical space, with delegates arranged on floating platforms that orbited a central dais. At the heart of it all stood three precursors, their energy forms pulsing with colors Lyra couldn't even name. "We have watched your civilizations grow," one of the precursors began, its thoughts resonating through the chamber. "We have seen your triumphs and your failures, your wars and your moments of transcendent cooperation. And now, we believe you are ready for the truth." The air shimmered, and a holographic representation of the galaxy appeared, filling the chamber. Lara gasped as she saw lines of energy crisscrossing space, connecting worlds and star systems in a vast, intricate web. "What you see before you," the precursor continued, "is the true nature of your galaxy. These energy lines, which we call the flux, are the source of faster-than-light travel, of the seemingly miraculous technologies that have allowed your civilizations to spread across the stars. They are also the reason we have remained hidden for so long." Another precursor stepped forward. "Eons ago, our race achieved a level of technological and spiritual advancement that allowed us to perceive and manipulate the flux. We believed it was our duty to shepherd the younger races, to guide them towards enlightenment. But our actions had unintended consequences." The hologram shifted, showing scenes of devastation, entire star systems consumed by raging energies, civilizations crumbling under the weight of technologies they couldn't control. "We realized that direct intervention was too dangerous," the third precursor explained. "The younger races needed to evolve at their own pace, to learn the responsibilities that come with great power. So we withdrew, watching and waiting for the day when you would be ready to join us as custodians of the galaxy." Lara's mind reeled with the implications. "But why reveal yourselves now?" she asked. "What's changed?" The first precursor turned its attention to her, and Lyra felt the weight of eons in its gaze. "Because of you, Captain Novak, you and your people, humanity's actions in recent days have demonstrated a unique balance of determination, adaptability, and compassion. You've shown that you're willing to fight for your place in the galaxy, but also that you understand the importance of cooperation and mutual understanding. The conspiracy against Earth," the second precursor added, "was born out of fear of your potential, of the change you represent. But in exposing it, in choosing diplomacy over retaliation, you've opened a door to a new era of galactic cooperation." Murmurs rippled through the assembled delegates, a mix of awe, skepticism, and in some cases, lingering resentment. The Centauri representative, his crystalline form still bearing cracks from Grotnak's earlier assault, spoke up. "Why should we trust the humans with this knowledge?" he demanded. "They've hidden a war fleet from us, demonstrating their duplicity." Lyra stepped forward, her voice ringing out clear and strong. "We hid that fleet because we feared exactly what you tried to do, a preemptive strike against a perceived threat. But when the moment came, when we had the power to strike first, we chose peace. We chose understanding. She turned, addressing the entire chamber. The precursors are right. We stand at a turning point. We can cling to our fears, our ancient grudges, and watch as they tear our civilizations apart. Or we can embrace this opportunity to learn from each other, to explore the true wonders of our galaxy together. Kara stepped up beside her, a roguish grin on her face. Besides, you lot seem to forget, humans aren't just soldiers. We're explorers, scientists, artists. Give us a mystery to solve or a frontier to push, and we'll throw ourselves at it with everything we've got. Imagine what we could accomplish together. Groknak's deep voice rumbled in agreement. The humans fought beside my people in the Confluence War, not for territory or resources, but because it was right. They have earned their place among the stars. Zix's tentacles waved excitedly. And think of the technological advancements we could make, working together to understand the flux. The possibilities are endless. As the chamber erupted into debate, Laura felt a subtle shift in the energy of the room. The fear and suspicion that had dominated galactic politics for so long were giving way to something new: hope, curiosity, and a cautious optimism. The precursors observed silently, allowing the younger races to work through this crucial moment on their own. Finally, after hours of intense discussion, a consensus began to emerge.